Hello, and welcome to week 4 of the We're Still Dancing video challenge. Having completed week 3 puts you halfway through the series. You guys have been doing a great job of posting your videos, so keep that up. And I hope that you are finding these exercises to be both informative and useful. Today's lesson is a continuation of week 2's lesson. Now, several of you posted that week 2's lesson was difficult and you were having trouble doing that, and I understand that. I'm going to tell you right now, this week's exercise is also going to be difficult, but I want to encourage you not to give up and to keep trying. Perfection is not necessary in these. Remember, these are muscle memory exercises, and the only thing you have to do is do them. And as long as you continue to do them and continue to do them, then you are more likely to have muscle memory set in and to stay. Now, in week 2, we talked about rotation and movement and how the two different actions create two different types of momentum. Rotation has momentum that moves circularly around the body, whereas movement is a linear type of momentum. And when these two happen at the same time, it can cause us to be slow or off balance. We used an exercise that was a basic underarm turn or a chase turn in order to work on those. And we're going to take that one step further today by doing traveling rotations across the floor. Now, one of the most impressive things to see from a top dancer is when they spin across the floor 3, 4, 5 times at what seems like lightning speed, and then they stop on a dime. For instance, that's the type of turn that I'm talking about. And the way they are able to achieve that and to be able to stop and be in balance is understanding these principles, that whenever we have movement and rotation, when possible, we want to try to do movement separate from rotation. Now, I want to state that this is not a steadfast rule in dancing, that you can never have movement and rotation at the same time. Actually, there are many times when you will have to have movement and rotation at the same time. A couple of examples would be pivots in smooth dancing, or something like a turning twinkle movement that's slow, where I am going to be rotating at the same time as my movement. But remember, today's exercise is about speed and having speed and balance. So this is where we want to try to eliminate having rotation and movement at the same time. Now, don't worry, today's exercise is not actually going to be spinning across the floor 3 or 4 or 5 times and stopping on a dime. It's not what we're going to be doing. We're going to make it much simpler, not simple, but simpler, and we're going to do a simple 3-step traveling turn that will be one full rotation across 3 steps that move from point A to point B. 1, 2, 3. That's the movement that we're going to be working on. And what we're going to do is break it down to show you when movement should happen, when and how rotation should happen. Now, I'm going to suggest that you do these exercises, much like last week's, hanging on to something. So you can use a chair. I'm going to bring in a chair, or a countertop, or anything that you can put your hand on to create a stability. With this exercise, if you're going to use the chair, which I'm not, but if you're going to use the chair, you want to start with the chair slightly behind you and to the side so that you can place your hand onto the chair. And as we do the exercise, you can use the other hand, and then you finish with your other hand on it, and then we'll go back in the opposite direction. So I am going to be using the ballet bar. I'm going to get that pulled in, and I'll be right back. All right, so the most common place that you see this movement that we're going to work on called the three-step turn, is referred to often as the roll out or the roll in. Now, those of you who have ever danced any routines, think back to your very first routine. Almost every student's very first routine, and teacher's very first routine for that matter, typically start out either in an open side-by-side position with a roll-in start, or they start in a wrapped position with a roll-out start, right? So this roll-out movement is what we're going to be working on. So I've got the ballet bar here, and I want you to start in front of whatever surface you're going to be holding on to with your back to that surface. You're not facing the bar. You will have your back to whatever it is, whether it's your table or your countertop or your chair. Have your back to the surface and be rather close to it. So we're going to start out with our right foot free, and we'll put our right hand on the bar. So we're going to take 3 steps to do this turn, and we need to break down where movement happens and where rotation happens. In a 3-count turn, the first step would be movement. The second step would be about the rotation. And then the third step is the recovery or the finish. It is also considered movement. So we're going to have movement, rotation, and movement. And we want to make sure that we complete each one before we go to the next. So we take step number 1 and we move with no or little rotation. The next part would be the rotation, hopefully with very little movement involved. And then the final step would be to complete our last step, excuse me, which is movement with little to no rotation. Pardon me. All right, so we're going to start with our right hand on the bar and our right foot free. So our first step is going to be forward going to our right. So the first thing we want to do is to look to the right and get our body facing to the right. We're going to take 1 step and get all of our weight over that right foot. Now we have stopped the forward momentum and we're going to apply the rotation. The rotation that I want you to do is going to happen over 2 different feet. The amount of rotation that you do will not matter, but I'm going to give you for this exercise a specific amount of rotation just so that we're all doing the same thing. So all of my weight is on the forward foot. With my weight on the forward foot and utilizing the surface, I am going to rotate a half a rotation, and then I'm going to place my left foot on the ground. I'm going to go back and show you that again. This does not need to be fast. Just rotate with the foot under the body to face the opposite direction, and then place that foot onto the ground. Now my right foot is free again, and then I finish my rotation to the front and simply step to the side. So I'm going to demonstrate that one more time, going in the same direction. I'm going to look where I'm going, step forward. I'm going to rotate over that foot 1/2 of a turn and close to step down. Then I'm going to finish my turn by stepping out to the side. Now we can repeat that going back in the opposite direction. I'm going to look where I'm going. I'm going to step onto that foot, get all of my weight over that foot. Utilize the bar, do 1/2 a turn, step down, still hanging onto the bar with the opposite hand, and then step out to the side. So the exercise is 3 steps. We'll just continue to use a timing of quick, quick, slow. We do it really slow, and we move to the right and to the left. Quick, quick, slow, and repeat. Quick, quick, slow. So we step, rotate, and step, and we step, rotate, and step. Now, I want to point out that the specific amount of rotation that you achieve doesn't really matter at this point. And in fact, the amount of rotation that you get over your supporting foot will change the better that you get at the movement. So if you're having trouble getting all the way around to here, don't worry, it's okay if when you step, you only get to about here. That's okay as long as you've done the rotation without moving. Some amount of rotation without taking a step. Once you close your feet, you just finish to the front and step. That's all that matters. If you are a little bit more advanced, you might get even more rotation out of the step. So the amount of rotation doesn't matter. The point is to make sure that we step, get all of our weight over that foot, stop forward movement, and then rotate. That's the only way to get faster and faster as time goes on. And with this exercise, that will eventually be the goal. But for now, we do it slow. Step, rotate, and step. That's the tempo. Step, rotate, and step. As time goes on and as you get more advanced, you can create a faster rotation. Step, rotate, and step. Step, rotate, and step. And then eventually you'll want to get to where you're using the ballet bar or the surface less and less. So get to the point where you just place your hand on the bar and just use it as a maybe and don't really hang on to it as much. And then lastly, you want to get to where you can do this without hanging on. Step, rotate, and step, rotate, and step. Okay, so with this exercise, different from some of the other exercises, it has a lot more rotation that can tend to make people dizzy. So rather than do 1 to 2 minutes of this exercise 3 or 4 times a week, do about 30 seconds, maybe a minute if you feel like you're not getting too dizzy of doing this exercise. So I'm now going to do the exercise with you for 30 seconds. You can feel free to do it with me now or rewind and do it with me later. Here we go. And step, rotate, and step. 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 And you're done. 30 seconds. So if you will just do that exercise 3 to 4 days a week for 30 seconds to a minute, or if you want to do it longer, feel free to do it longer. That will help create the muscle memory of how to rotate over the foot without moving and create better balance and better speed. Good luck, and we'll see you next week.